Hey guys, how's it going? So recently I've been listening to the second series of the 13 Minutes to the Moon podcast from the BBC. It's about the Apollo 13 mission to the moon, which ended relatively suddenly when there was an explosion on board the service module of the spacecraft. It led to a really serious situation where the three astronauts on board had to had to get home despite being stranded 200,000 miles away from Earth with a limited amount of oxygen in a spacecraft which was failing. It's actually 50 years to the day that they splashed down in the Pacific Ocean. So ultimately, the mission ended in failure. They didn't achieve their goals of landing on the moon. But what's really incredible is how such a dire situation was turned around into what could be considered a success. And I think one of the reasons for that is how calm everyone kept in mission control and on board the spacecraft. In the podcast, they play quite a lot of the recordings between the craft and mission control, and it's really incredible listening to them talk to each other so calmly, and in a number of situations, the flight controllers stop everyone from talking, and they say, "Hang on a minute, guys, before we do anything else, let's just take a moment to think, what can we do here?" And I think that's something we don't do as maybe as often as we should in software projects when things are going wrong, as we don't take those few minutes to stop and really think before we rush into any decisions that may make things work. One of the other things they do, which is really great, is in the midst of this terrible situation, the whole mission control team are instructed to hand over to their counterparts the thinking that maybe a fresh team will think differently. And again, I can't imagine that happening very often in software, where we kind of, in the midst of a major issue, we can kind of hand over to someone else so calmly and see if they can think of a new idea, a fresh idea. So yeah, it's really interesting. The other thing which comes out of the podcast, I think, is how much trust these guys in mission control have in each other, and how much trust the astronauts have in them as well. Some of these guys are straight out of college. This is their first job, but they're completely trusted to make these huge decisions in a dire time. And it just makes me think that if you are managing a team, that to empower your team members to be able to make the big decisions without questioning them, without second guessing them, is a really great thing to be able to do, regardless of age, experience. These guys in mission control are really, really trusted. The whole podcast has made me think about how I interact in my day-to-day work. And I was interested to see if anyone else has any podcasts or books or documentaries they've seen which aren't directly linked to their day-to-day work, but may have influenced the way they think or work on something. Okay, well, if you have any thoughts, I'd love to hear them. Let me know. Thanks. Bye.